What was digitizing Jennifer Gerard's photos like?
Um, it was interesting to see how dance has journeyed even as far back as like the 70s and the 80s. I think some of the most interesting things I saw were early Hubbard Street images, or looking at some of her images from Bob Fosse's work when Fosse was in Chicago. That modern dance looked a lot different then. I feel like it was interesting to see how far jazz and modern have kind of split ways in the past 30 or 40 years. Yeah, it's just really interesting to see what kind of movement and what kind of shapes were really the hip thing in the 80s, which I feel like photography uniquely has the opportunity to capture. It was lots of unitards and lots of very structured shapes. And I think since we see a lot more, I don't want to say experimental, but a lot more like release, especially with the coming of like Gaga technique, the modern has taken some different twists and turns since then, which makes sense given what its history looks like. Lots of ups and downs in terms of what the technique has gone through over the years, but I think the most recent transitions are really interesting. I had been working as a photographer for several years up until that point, and it was interesting to see how a non-dancer approaches taking images. She was also working with film at the time, which I feel like is a slight disadvantage to the digital that we have now, and that she really would just take bursts of photos and then find the best image out of them rather than knowing what she was looking for, in terms of the height of a batma or the top of a jump. So I don't know that a lot of it was guesswork, but she definitely didn't have the background that I had, in terms of the technical aspect of that, and I found that really fascinating to see like her. And as you go through the negatives, you can see her like process of trying to figure out where the shot was very different from my process, just in terms of what information we had to start with. I know what's coming. So if I'm watching, Swan Lake per se, an easy thing that many people know, I know that they're going to do this big arabesque, and I know that where the height of the leg is going to be, and it's a gut instinct on timing in terms of that. A lot of people that photograph dance aren't as familiar with the technique of what's happening, so you're going to see pictures where clearly she had 3 more inches worth of arabesque happening that they missed. Not that the picture is bad, but it's just a sense of knowing dance so thoroughly that I have a better eye of knowing what I'm looking at and what is good technique and what they're going to be happy with in the long run.
Are there challenges to visually conveying something as present and movement driven as dance?
Oh, and that's the adrenaline rush for me. I really, really love like the idea of having an image which is still, but also like seeing movement in it. I feel like as a photography artist in this case, that is my mission. My goal is to, create an energy in images that implies movement, which is tricky.